Hello, everyone. Andrea with Nutrition Commission. I'm thrilled to be able to have this special community of women like us, if you will, who are either battling kind of in the throes of a chronic illness or have already been through some of the aggressive treatments, etc., and they're just trying to come out of it now, like, oh, what just happened? So this is something I've wanted to do for such a long time. So I'm really, really glad. Let me just kind of give you a little bit of framework. I'm going to speak today about the drivers of inflammation, and this could be a whole series of conversations. But today what I want to do is just talk to you about diet, specifically sugar, okay? But before I do that, let me just at least share a little bit about who I am if you're new to Nutrition Commission. So again, I'm Andrea. I am a breast cancer survivor turned nutritionist, and I also became a health and wellness coach, and then I also became certified as a cancer specialist. So my area of focus is on all things inflammation, and then the reason why I do that is because as I learned about my own disease, what became very apparent to me is all roads led back to inflammation. It's crazy. So let's talk a little bit about inflammation, again, sugar, all right? Before I do that, let me explain what inflammation in its most simplistic form means, because it's overwhelming. Even my brain sometimes doesn't compute because it can go real deep real fast. Basically, your immune system will send out its white blood cells to attack any foreign substance in the blood. That produces an inflammatory response to, kind of like seek out and destroy that foreign object that's in the blood that should not be there or is in excess. So you could have pathogens from a virus that's entered the blood. You could have, again, excess blood sugar, which is what we're going to talk about today. So a lot of times what actually contributes to things that enter the blood can be most predominantly because we have digestive issues, or we've now experienced leaky gut where foods, particles, toxins, etc. are seeping through the intestines into the blood. So that's kind of just a very simplistic, broad view around how does this even start, okay? So blood sugar. And again, we could go off many different tangents on this topic, but for the purposes of today, I want to keep it really simple. Excess blood sugar, okay, is really driven by basically sugary foods, refined carbohydrates that we eat. Okay, refined carbohydrates. So what do I mean by that? Any processed foods that we're eating, food that's in a box or that's takeout food, whatever. If you haven't prepared the food yourself and it's coming in a processed box, it's going to be predominantly refined carbohydrates. So carbohydrates are like the breads, the sugar, the food sugar that they add in to make it more palatable for you. So anytime we ingest those foods, immediately, because they contain basically no fiber, no nutritional value, they're basically, they cause an immediate spike in your blood sugar. Okay, so when we create this influx of blood sugar, we end up having a lot of hormonal reactions in the body to try to stabilize that excess. Because remember, our bodies know exactly how to balance everything. It's a well-oiled machine when we give it the right tools. So that excess blood sugar causes a hormonal response. Of course, that's why we see the insulin response to carry that excess into the cells or into the liver and stores it as glucose for later. Or if we're kind of already full in the liver, it starts to store it as fat. Fun stuff, right? And usually it becomes fatty liver, or it can be stored as belly fat. So that's just kind of how it works with excess sugar that leads to belly fat, or even, unfortunately, fatty liver disease, non-alcoholic fatty liver disease. So what do we need to do to address that? Okay, so I'm just going to keep today's topic very simple and light because, again, I don't want to overwhelm people. But 3 things that I want you to consider this week to try for yourself, okay? Number 1, the first thing I observe when I'm working even with a new client is the high amount of takeout people are eating. Okay, it's crazy. So we eat a lot of takeout, maybe 4 or 5 times a week, sometimes even more than that, sometimes 7. Every day someone's eating takeout. So I would challenge you to cut that in half. Okay, so if we just step back and we go back to the basics, what should we be doing? Eating whole foods. I want to eat a nice quality protein like grass-fed, organic, wild caught fish, whatever. Okay, that nice, healthy, high quality protein. And then I want a hearty plate of vegetables. And that is literally the first thing I tell someone. Could you think about cutting your takeout in half, eating more vegetables? Now, again, a lot of us here have digestion issues, right? Because of all the medicines or the chemo or the radiation. So that's hard for most people. So I said, absolutely understand. Sometimes we need to ease into it with steaming them, making them more easily digested, steaming them, or just drinking broths or just drinking green juice during the day to help get the nutrients in and help to change that palate so we're not craving sweets. Okay, so that's kind of the first thing. Just stop eating as much takeout, cut it in half. The second thing is, I want to say, and really emphasizing deliberately, is I really want people to just stop eating. I mean, I can't be any more blunt about this one. Stop eating white bread. If you're eating bread, white bread, it's like you're just taking a spoonful of sugar and you're just eating it. It adds 0 nutritional value, and it's sugar. It's literally just full stop sugar. And when we eat just literally sugar with, a food like white bread or artificial sweeteners, if I can talk, they actually start disrupting our healthy gut bacteria. And now, why am I bringing that up? Because we need balanced gut flora, okay? Because that regulates hormones, it regulates pathogen overgrowth. A lot of times, because again of medicines, a lot of us again have a completely destroyed gut health because all of our good gut flora has been killed off by the medicines, right? So we got to start working on removing all white sugar products. White flour, white sugar, they add 0 benefit, 0 nutritional benefit. They're literally 100% sugar, okay? And once we start doing that, and again, I could give you a list of foods, but it really is kind of unique to each person depending on your condition or ailment, kind of where you are on the journey of healing. But if we start making sure we're always removing any kind of white sugar product, that's also going to help your gut. Okay, it's also going to start helping to repair the gut. And then I would say right below that, start drinking a daily bone broth. Okay, stop eating any white sugar, but replace it with bone broth, organic grass-fed bone broth, 1 cup a day. And I think I have a reels that we put out even on Instagram. Super simple, but we need to start healing that gut lining. Okay, so that's kind of like number 2. Anytime, what we want to also be thinking of when it comes to blood sugar is trying to keep that balance. So that means we don't want to go too long without food because that dips the glucose in the blood, right? And then we have this roller coaster effect of then we eat something and that spikes the insulin and then it drops again. So our objective when it comes to managing chronic inflammation with blood sugar is keeping it always in kind of a steady keel, steady balance. So that might mean for you that every 3 hours we're eating a protein snack with a healthy fat snack and a little bit of a vegetable-based carb. Something as simple as like a pasture-raised hard-boiled egg with a handful of nuts and maybe a couple vegetable sticks, whether you can tolerate, celery or cucumber slices or just whatever. But that's the way we want to manage our blood sugar balance, with snacks, small meals throughout the day. We just don't want to get to this roller coaster up and down swing, because it's that imbalance that creates inflammation in the body, because our body is kind of like turning on, turning off, turning on, turning off, and that secretes compounds, inflammatory compounds, that affects our CRP levels. I'm sure some of you are monitoring your HSCRPs. So those would be my 3, as simple as I can, dietary tips for managing your blood sugar. Again, we're going to do reduce takeout. If you're still eating takeout, I want to challenge you to cut it in half or remove it altogether. If you can do that, please, that would be the preference. No more takeout, because it's loaded with unhealthy oils, which are all pro-inflammatory oils, and a lot of refined carbs and sugary foods. Okay, it's just not good if we're in a compromised state. Limiting, of course, sugar, which is kind of like the duh, but no white flour, white breads, no white sugar products. If you have not cut the cord on those yet, you're going to have to get rid of them. They're extremely disruptive, not only to our blood sugar levels, but they also break down our good gut bacteria, which is not good when it comes to managing our keeping immune system health. And it also prevents us from being able to fight off the pathogen growth that might be occurring, which leads to dysbiosis and a whole host of other problems. So no more white flour products, no white bread, no white sugars, no starchy potatoes, white potatoes for the time being. We just want everything to be very even keel nutritionally. Unfortunately, sugar is sugar in the body, okay? Now, fruit sugar, so fructose, is better, right? Because it has fiber and nutrients and minerals in it. But when we are in a state of compromise, we really don't want to eat a lot. So what I say is we could have 2 servings of fruit a day. And I know this is surprising for a lot of people. You can eat berries. Why am I saying berries or a Granny Smith apple? Because they're low glycemic response, meaning when you eat them, they are not going to spike your blood sugar. Okay, so we still, even like the unhealthy sugars, which is kind of a no-brainer at this point for those of us, again, who are in the throes of illness, but also we got to think about whole food sugars. The good sugars are still not great for us to be eating a lot of. We can eat them, but we want them low glycemic response, a low sugar spike response. And that's why I personally lean towards berry family, as of course they're loaded with antioxidants as well, or Granny Smith for the time being. As we get healthier and we start healing our digestion, we start healing the liver, we actually detox a lot of the unnecessary, I'll call them stressors, out of the body. We can start adding some different food groups. But if you're in the throes of illness right now, you want to remove any high sugar foods, including like the potatoes, starchy vegetables, and things like that. Okay, great question. And then anytime, we don't want to go obviously too long without eating a nice healthy snack or a small meal, because again, if we do that, we pull our blood sugar down too low, and that of course is not good either. So too low, too high is not good. We want it just right. So we want to make sure we're eating a nice healthy snack, just a simple, like I said, a protein, a healthy fat, and a nice vegetable-based carb, like a celery, a vegetable, cucumber, celery, broccoli sticks, a little bit of hummus is fine if you're making your own, or if you're buying organic. Again, you're buying processed, but you're not just taking spoonfuls of it, so you should be okay. It really just depends on where you are, all right? And again, I'm going to emphasize that we could always add in bone broth every day to help heal the gut lining, okay? And also to help replace minerals that have been lost from prescription medicines or harsh chemical medical treatments like chemo, okay? So great question. So those would be kind of my 3 top things to work on in the coming week if you have not done so already. So hopefully that gives you something to chew on, no pun intended, but something to think about. And I would love to know any other questions that you have. So give me your comments and feedback today, and I will make sure we tee up those topics every week, and we'll just keep using this type of format. So hopefully that works for all of you. So thank you all for being here today. Love it. And we will talk soon. Okay, bye ladies.